Ricken Financial presents Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens.
Welcome back to Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull, and Heidi Ricken Provost. She's off working the phones right now, so we've got Gerry Ricken here. You get the mic solo again, Gerry. That's twice in the last 4 episodes or 3 episodes.
Gosh, Doug, she trusts me with this. This is amazing.
That is incredible. We did let her have a solo episode very recently, too. Go check all of our past episodes out on Apple, Spotify, or the Kickin' with the Rickens YouTube page there that you can find on, let me get the URL, and I believe it's youtube.com. I think if you go to youtube.com, that's where,
that's where we are. Right. Just search for Ricken Financial, Kickin' with the Rickens, and we're out there.
Yeah, I had to type that on my typewriter real fast.
There you go. That's right. Okay. That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll put the link on my MySpace. No, look, hey, we are going to get into something that actually we haven't discussed, and that is beneficiary reviews. And I think this is very important here, especially as we're wrapping up the year and you're just taking an appraisal of different things in your retirement portfolio and different levers to pull. But before we do that, Gerry, we covered a few episodes ago about your passion for Halloween and your passion for pumpkin carving. We know everybody's hearing this after Halloween, but you had a whale of a time doing some carving, including of someone that is very recognizable to sports fans.
Well, he is very recognizable. Some people call him the Walrus, but this year, I've done a lot. I've been a Chiefs fan my entire life since they came into the league, and I love the Chiefs. And I lived in Kansas a lot of my life. I lived in Kansas City for a number of years, and I've been in St. Louis since '95. And the Chiefs are just part of my my fan contingent. I guess I'm part of their fan contingent, part of the Chiefs kingdom, and I've done, like last year I did a Taylor Swift one. I've done, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of, the trophy, the Lombardi Trophy. I've done a lot of things. But I said, you know what? The person that we probably ought to recognize on one of these pumpkins is Andy Reid, one of the best coaches in the history of the sport. So I have the Walrus on one of my big pumpkins, my 150-pound pumpkins. The Walrus is on there. So, the man is just a brilliant guy. And, as of this recording, we're still undefeated. So, we'll see what happens. We're about a week ahead or behind on our recordings, or a week ahead on our recordings. So we'll see what happens. But, everyone in our neighborhood always wants to come by and see what happens with the pumpkins. So they'll see Andy Reid prominently displayed on one of my pumpkins this year.
Oh, my God. That's really cool. Now, before we get to beneficiary reviews, I gotta ask, how do you make such intricate, because I've seen a picture of this, how do you make such intricate carvings? Do you project a picture of the subject's face on the pumpkin? Like, how do you print it out and staple it to the pumpkin and carve her out? Like, I have no idea.
Well, Doug, that's an issue. A lot of people ask me that question, and I've kind of got this right brain, left brain thing going on as an accountant. I'm all into figures and numbers, but I also have an artistic ability as well. So I look at a picture and then I sketch it freehand on the pumpkin with a pencil, and then I just started carving.
That's amazing. So you got a little bit of the, I guess that's left brain. Is that left brain the artistic one? I always forget. I don't really have either, so I don't know. I don't know what I've got left brain cell and right brain cell.
Well, there you go. But that's what I do, and then I've learned over the years on how to project. I put 250 watt floodlights in these things so that you can actually see them from the street. And people say, well, how many candles does it take? Well, lots of candle power.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. Yeah, so you got the little, so to speak, the Walrus, Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs head coach pumpkin, but then the projection of his face that goes all over the neighbor's driveway.
Absolutely. Yep, that's right. Amazing. That's right. You can see it from miles away.
That's amazing.
Maybe from space.
Okay, maybe we're not cutting that out. Okay, that maybe if we said maybe, so it's okay to make that claim, right?
That's right.
But let's get into this beneficiary reviews. When you said that was the subject matter today, as we were meeting for hours and hours before this show, okay, but I actually didn't even know what that meant until you explained it. So can you just define what you mean by beneficiary reviews and then go through what some of those steps are, please?
When you open an account, a lot of accounts, and when you take out a life insurance policy, you are able to name a beneficiary. which means in the event of your demise, that person will receive that account or the proceeds from that life insurance policy. So when we talk about beneficiaries, that's who we're talking about. We're talking about those people in your lives that you would like to inherit, if you will, your funds, your financial wealth. So when we look at beneficiaries, a lot of people just set it and forget it. And that can really bite people in the end. And let me give you a little example. We've seen example after example after example when people come in to see us and we start talking to them about what they've done in their whole financial planning. And then we take a look at all their accounts. We do a deep dive into every account because we want to make sure that, and we understand who they are and who their beneficiaries are. And then we compare that with what their accounts look like. And a lot of times we find a disconnect between those two. And some of the disconnect even starts with when you start your first job. You have a 401k, you sign up for the 401k, you have company provided life insurance 1-2 times your salary, whatever it is. And you're a single individual and you put mom and dad down as your beneficiaries. 3 years later, you get married. 5 years later, you're a married person with 3 kids. The beneficiaries are still mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to really think about, as your life changes, your beneficiaries change, and your documentation of those things should change. Because we have seen, unfortunately, we have seen that where a young man passed away unexpectedly in an accident, and his parents were named as the beneficiaries, even though he had a wife and 2 children at home. So we just don't ever want that to happen. We want your needs and your wants to be fulfilled with what the documentation should be there to make sure that those wants and needs are there and are actually documented the right way, so that the people that are you want to be the beneficiaries are actually the beneficiaries. We've also seen people come in to start their planning work with us, and we look at their beneficiaries and talk to them, and a case in point comes to mind that they were on their second marriage. Both of them were on their second marriage, and the husband had been previously divorced. She was previously widowed. So we looked at their beneficiaries, and his ex-spouse was still the primary beneficiary on the account. Well, that didn't go over very well in that meeting, but we were able to rectify that very quickly and get the call the company, get the beneficiary form, and get that changed right away.
And it was an error by omission. It was
it certainly was.
It just didn't go over well because he had omitted it, not because
he said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I had done that." So it wasn't out of malcontent. It wasn't out of it was just an oops. I forgot about that. And a lot of people
think that most of the mistakes in this realm are just, oops, I never thought about it. I did set it and forget it, right?
That's exactly right. So, when you think about getting back to that young person just getting started and having a few kids, a lot of times people think about, okay, what about beneficiaries? And they don't think about what happens if both of us go. And this goes back to the beneficiaries, and actually really not only beneficiaries, but who do you want to raise your children in the event both of you pass away? Let's say you're on a vacation and something terrible happens and you don't make it. What happens with those children? Well, the children, the courts will decide unless you have documented through a trust. And that's where trust planning comes into play with younger people, is designating who you want to take care of your children. And that's a really, really personal and really, really, hard, gut-wrenching decision for a lot of people, because if you have, a lot of loved ones, siblings, or you have very close friends, who's going to do that for you? So you need to make sure that you do that. In addition to the beneficiary review, we want to make sure that you know how your family is going to be taken care of in the future, whether you're here or not, and whether your spouse is here or not. So that's another thing that we always like to look at when we look at beneficiaries as well. Doug, the other thing that we talk about is, having an annual review. We like to have an annual review with all of our clients to make sure that we look at everything, to make sure that, not only that the plan is still working, your cash flows are working, your income plan's working, your everything is working. Okay. We want to make sure you're keeping up with inflation. We want to make sure you never run out of income. We want to make sure that your goals and objectives, the way you are investing, is actually how you're investing. How do you want to invest? So we do all of that. But one of the things that's critical in that whole review is a beneficiary review. we had a client that we were trying to get her in, and she said, I'm okay. I don't need to meet with you guys. Not knowing that she would, she was, all of a sudden she was gone one day. And we were like, oh my gosh, we felt badly. We went to her services, and then we started looking at all the accounts we had with her, and she had 2 siblings as her beneficiaries. We looked at those accounts. We contacted the siblings. We found out that one of her siblings had passed, and the other one was actually in a Medicare facility with long-term care. So, and the way the designation worked, all the money went to the daughter or to the sibling with long-term care who was in a long-term care facility. So all of that money from those accounts went to the state to pay for Medicare expenses because so
did the client have do you think if the client had not died suddenly, they would have had different relatives to pass it to, whether it's spouse or children?
Yes. Because all of this had happened since the previous, and it had been 2 years since she'd come to see us. We keep encouraging her to come to see us. Has anything changed? No, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Well, something had changed. And it was just heart-wrenching because she had nieces and nephews that she loved and wanted to pass that on to. She thought she was doing the right thing, but she just didn't ever focus on that again. It was a set it and forget it situation, and it just didn't work out the best for the family. So the point is, we want to make sure that you're on the pulse. So you keep your finger on the pulse of everything you're doing in retirement, in especially in retirement planning. And that's what we're here for. We're here to bounce things off of. We're here to take a third-party look because a lot of people just don't pay attention to those kinds of details, and we shouldn't. We should be in retirement. We should be having a great time. We should be, laughing hard and living large. But that's where we come in. That's where Heidi and I take a deep dive. We say, okay, is this how you want this account to look? Is this what you want to happen after you're gone? So we have that, and we make sure that those I's are dotted and those T's are crossed to make sure that we are all on the same page and everything is good.
We've just been through a time change that a lot of people use the time change twice a year to remember to change the smoke detector batteries or something like that. Do you recommend people set whether it's an arbitrary date in Q4 of the year, or maybe it's the time change date or whatever, like put it in their calendar each year, remember to do my annual review and check my beneficiaries with my financial advisor or my retirement planner?
We absolutely recommend that. And the thing that we do is we reach out proactively. And if your advisor isn't reaching out proactively, reach out to us, because that's what we do. We try to be as proactive as we possibly can to make sure that those reviews do happen, because the reviews are very, very important. And not only annually, but as your life changes, your whole plan changes. So the plans we put in, Doug, are living and breathing documents. And we want to make sure that those adapt as your life changes. We adapt those to the changes in your life.
Yeah, well, you definitely want to do that. Again, you cannot, we have learned multiple examples here of why you cannot set it and forget it. And look, fellas, can I just rewind here? Gerry talked a few minutes ago about the awkward meeting, right, where the benefits go to whom? I haven't dealt with that before, okay? But right. I remember my ex-wife and I bought a car at a dealership near where I live. And then, 3 years, I divorced, remarried, and my wife, Momo, wanted to buy a car there, okay? So, sure. And I said, hey, I said, go over there because I know the guy. Well, the guy wasn't in. It was during COVID, okay? So he set us up with somebody else, and in the system, it still showed my ex-wife's name. So when they tried to roll out the red carpet for Momo, it said they called her my ex-wife's name and everything, trying to roll out. And let me tell you, can I just get to the punchline? She didn't buy a car there. Okay,
I believe that.
And I still hear about this, and I'm like, come on. I didn't even make the mistake. I mean,
it's the best laid plans. They thought they were doing the best thing possible. Yeah.
You can't set it and forget it. All right, for that note. Well, anything else on the subject, Gerry, before we take it out?
I just can't underscore the importance of just reviewing things annually or more often as life changes. Your plans should change. So just review, and make sure that you are accepting those appointments when we're trying to reach out to you, and just proactively looking at everything, because it's very, very important. You want your money and your financial plans to meet what your desires are, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, it's not meant to pay someone else. You don't want the state choosing who the beneficiary is.
That's exactly right.
It's needing the help of people that have been at this for a long time. Hey, Gerry, just remind us again, how long have you been in the industry trying to help folks with things like this?
Well, I got my first license in 1996.
1996. So 28 years doing some kind of planning or retirement help of some kind.
That's exactly right. Before that, incredible. I was your basic accounting nerd.
Hey, you're crunching numbers even longer than since
That's
96.
Exactly right. Yeah, since 81. So that's when I became my family's unpaid tax preparer, Doug.
I love it. But 28 years professionally doing this, and even before, looking at the nitty gritty, looking in between the lines and at the numbers. So get with Gerry and with Heidi Ricken Provost, his daughter, at rickenfinancial.com there in St. Louis. They want to help protect and preserve the retirement you deserve. And folks, you worked your butts off for years. You earned the right to have domain over this. Don't let a little bit of complacency cost you potentially a ton of money, or just not get you and go in the right places it's supposed to. We definitely don't want that. So, Gerry, I really
we never want that to happen. We want your goals and objectives to be achieved. That's what we're after.
For sure. Again, the retirement you deserve. So we don't have Heidi in the seat today, Gerry, but we know, and we want to tell people every time we crack the mics for Kicking with the Rickens, that every day
is a holiday
and life is short.
Laugh hard.
In honor of Mary Beth there, folks. Again, go to rickenfinancial.com and be sure and set up that complimentary review of everything. It's Q4 right now. What better time than if you're trying to hit the reset button on this kind of thing than to let Gerry and Heidi and the team look at your assets there. Make sure, again, out of many things that they could check, that your beneficiary setup is what it needs to be there. But, Gerry, thank you so much for joining in there, and hope maybe next year we can I'd love to know already what you're planning for the carvings next year, because Andy Reid is pretty hard to top.
Well, I never know until I get in the moment.
There you go. So all this planning, but on that one, it's spontaneous.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Gerry, thanks for spending the time today, and to you and Heidi for putting together such a great podcast. Be sure to download these or subscribe to them on Apple and Spotify. Check out the YouTube channel as well, and they put out some other stuff on social media, the little small clips of this too. It's great for people that that need to get educated about this, or maybe yourself, or maybe your spouse, because you've been trying to get them to for so long. This is a great way to do that without having to drag them into the office. Maybe you just start with a podcast or a video or something like that. And thanks to our producer, Brandon Benefield, too, for zapping those into cyberspace and doing the edits there. So for Gerry Ricken and for Heidi Ricken Provost, who wasn't on this episode, thank you so much for listening to Kicking with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement. Our next episode is going to be about tax-free retirement, so you don't want to miss that. Peace out, y'all.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.